Later today, the U.S. Supreme Court is taking on two vaccine mandates backed by the president. Experts say it's a rare move because the court fast-tracked the arguments here, saying the cases are urgent and relevant to American workers. BNC's Najahe Clarke has more.
At issue are separate mandates from two different federal agencies, but both backed by the Biden administration. The first coming from OSHA, or the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. The mandate requires employers with more than 100 workers to be fully vaccinated, and if not, they have to be tested weekly and wear a mask. The second mandate comes from the Department of Health and Human Services. It requires all healthcare workers at facilities participating in Medicare and Medicaid to be fully vaccinated, with the exception of those who can't because of religious reasons or a medical condition.
There's one thing everyone knows about New Yorkers. We don't like anyone telling us what to do.
Yet in New York City, public sector and thousands of private sector workers are being told what to do. New Mayor Eric Adams says he has no plans on discontinuing a vaccine mandate his predecessor Bill de Blasio put into place before leaving office. All city workers must be vaccinated, and private sector employees working in offices also must be fully vaccinated. Multiple lawsuits have been filed to block the mandate. The mayor says mandatory booster shots may be next.
We're going to examine the numbers. If we feel we have to get to the place of making that mandatory, we're going to do that.
And New York State Governor Kathy Hochul was successful in getting a statewide mandate requiring all healthcare workers at hospitals and long-term care facilities must be fully vaccinated.
We are over it. We are done. We want to move on.
Both the city and state mandates could be jeopardized depending on how the justices rule. But New York State has already won a recent legal victory with the Supreme Court after the justices upheld the state's vaccine mandate for healthcare workers. The vote was 6-3 favoring New York. The justices could grant what's called emergency relief, which would render the vaccine mandates ineffective for all intents and purposes until the justices have a final say as to the legality of the mandates. But for now, it's anyone's guess how the court will decide, but certainly the eyes of the nation will be fixed on the Supreme Court when those arguments begin on Friday. In New York, I'm Najahe Clarke for BNC.
This is a very interesting legal case, and millions of Americans will be impacted. Joining us now is our justice correspondent, Candace Kelley, and Philip Hamilton. He's the managing partner of Hamilton Clarke LLP and an adjunct professor at Benjamin Cardozo School of Law. Good morning, Candace. Let's start with you. Tell us more about the parties involved and why are they suing?
So we have business organizations, we've got businesses, and also Republican-led states who have a couple of legal cases that have gone up the route, and now they're finally asking the Supreme Court to see whether or not OSHA and as whether or not those organizations and centers that also receive Medicare and Medicaid monies do have the right, do have the authority to say whether or not somebody should be vaccinated or not. So it's going to be an interesting case today to figure all of that out. And one of the things that the Supreme Court is also going to decide is, as these cases and other cases make their way through the courts, whether or not the vaccine mandate will stay in place or not. So a lot of implications here. It will be interesting to see what happens during some very unusual oral arguments today.
And, you know, these are all different issues that you bring up. I know it's not unusual for the court to bundle when there's a common area of law. Is that what we're seeing here?
Was that question for me, Naja? I'm sorry.
Sure. The different issues that you mentioned, they're all a little different, but it's not uncommon when there's common areas for the court to bundle them together. Is that what we're seeing here?
Yes, that's what we're seeing here. We see a lot of these issues come together, and there's so many things that are happening across the states. You've got lawsuits all over the place, and what's really interesting is that depending upon what part of the country you're in, these lower courts are deciding on all different levels. And so the Supreme Court has finally said yes, because they could have said no in hearing this particular emergency argument, but they said yes, we're going to hear this argument because we want to get this together. It's like it's a federal catastrophe for this to happen, and it has so many implications. These two particular cases in particular, they are dealing with about 100 million people that it could affect as to whether or not they could be mandated to have vaccines or not. So bundling the cases is normally what happens. They're going to kind of kill a lot of birds with one stone in this process.
We're seeing particularly in school districts where some schools are taking initiative to go on and vaccinate. A lot of parents are upset about this. Does this factor into all of that as well?
It certainly does. I mean, there are a lot of people out there in the school systems. We can talk about Chicago, for example, where there are a whole lot of issues in terms of what to do in terms of kids going to school or not, who's mandated or not. And when it comes to the school systems, that's a very big issue. That has also made its way through the courts. And they have decided, once again, these lower courts all over the place, yes and no, whether or not these vaccine mandates should be in place. But as we've seen, especially on a university level and on lower school levels, these kids are going back to school, but it's not without a fight. And it's not without a lot of cases coming up. More than ever, we are seeing young people spread the Omicron virus than ever before. And so certainly this is something that the court will consider and perhaps they will be discussing today when they hear the case.
And, we've seen the Supreme Court speak on COVID-related issues before, but they've noted that more guidance is needed from Congress. So what does the court want?
So, it's interesting. The Supreme Court has thought about this. They've made a decision about this. If you recall, back in August, the Centers for Disease Control, they made this assessment that eviction moratorium should remain in place. And the Supreme Court said no. They decided against that. They said that the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, didn't have the authority to do that. And that's the same question that we are looking at today. Who has the authority? Does the Constitution give the government the authority to say whether or not there should be some type of a federal mandate? Well, the Supreme Court has said in previous cases, like the one I just talked about, that they will look to Congress and they want more specifics for Congress. So that's really an indication that this is something that they believe should happen on a congressional level. And of course, we're looking at a 6-3 conservative court, 6 conservatives that we are thinking will decide that these mandates are not acceptable. So I think that that's going to be an issue today, and it will set a very huge precedent going on regardless of what they say, and will have implications down the line for any other case that comes to the Supreme Court. And Naja, as we know, there are many cases bubbling up at this time.
Certainly, and we know the court is actually hearing oral arguments on this case. Why is that unusual?
It's very unusual because normally when you have what is called a shadow docket, in other words, this is a case that was not necessarily on their docket. It's an emergency case. Normally in this type of a situation, the Supreme Court just gives a decision. They really don't even give any written brief about it. They don't have any arguments that they've written by themselves. They just kind of give their decision. They don't hear oral arguments. Here, this is very unusual. In this case, because it has so many implications and ramifications and consequences, they said, you know what? We want to hear oral arguments in this one. We're not going to just decide on the merits of the case that we have before us. We want to hear what the attorneys on both sides have to say. So that's very unusual today that we're not just going to get a very short decision. We are going to hear oral arguments, and I'm wondering if that will probably lead to a longer decision since they've heard that argument to kind of justify why they thought so. I think that we're going to hear more from the justices than we have before if this was a normal case on the shadow docket.
Will today's hearings lead to a broad or a narrow decision? What's your opinion on this?
It will definitely lead to a broader decision because, listen, the federal government, whenever there's a catastrophe, they step in, whether it's flooding, whether it's tornado, whether it is the pandemic. This is another catastrophe. And it's one of those things that in the Supreme Court, they're just going to have to weigh. Why, in this case, all of a sudden, is there no constitutional power for the government or the Biden administration to do exactly what they want to do and say a tornado or say flooding? So the implications of this case not only speak to just COVID, but just other power that the government could or could not have and other things that come down the line. And of course, the implications are real here because if they decide that these vaccine mandates are not allowed, well, that means in effect that more people will be spreading the virus because we know that more people will opt out of doing so. In fact, they've opted out of doing so and they've put their jobs on the line, choosing to not get pay and not get vaccinated at the same time. So once the Supreme Court gives everybody the go-ahead, we're going to see more catastrophe when it comes to COVID and cases that are being spread.
All right, Justice Correspondent Candace Kelley, thank you so much for your insight this morning.